were the pharaohs only part of Egyptian life? What was the importance of religion in ancient Egypt? Why and how did pharaohs build so huge pyramids? How and where the ancient Egypt evolved? So many questions, right? Alright, let's find out answers of these questions. But first, if you are new here, welcome. This is Cultures Frost, where we decide to pack our bags to explore the world after looking into different engrossing cultures around the world. Before looking into history of 300 pharaohs, their 30 dynasties and pyramids of Egypt, question arises: how and where did the Egyptian civilization started? The Egyptian civilization started somewhere in 20,000 BCE near River Nile. In Kurta, a picture gallery is present in rocks. It's not the place tourists usually visit, but pictures on these rocks are traced back to some 17,000 BCE. In these pictures, we find carvings of wild bull, ox, cow, and hippo. It shows that beef was the main thing in their menu. From the carvings and their position, it can be depicted that those places were their hunting grounds. At this time, ancient Egyptians followed the summer rains for their cultivation of crops, to market time, and for traveling, along with different life activities. As the climate changed, rain started to reduce, and also their pattern changed, resulting in settling of Egyptians near rivers and lakes. And then comes the world's first calendar, designed by Egyptians Nabta Plata and can be dated back to 5000 BCE. And here's a thing to know, that this calendar was not on the paper, but was formed by arranging stones according to the north and south stars. The movement of stars was used to depict and measure the weather and time. At this time, religion came in Egyptians' life, and it started with worshipping cow, as it was the main part of their life, from food to agriculture and many other purposes. So they started worshipping cow, which was the initial form of cow goddess Hathor, the goddess of love, sympathy, motherhood, and happiness. Later on, they started worshipping many gods, each with a specific power and purpose. For the animals and things they were afraid of, they started worshipping them to take control over them and let them have mercy on them. For example, the god Sekhmet, the god of death, was a ferocious lion. Similarly, they worshipped jackals, crocodiles, of them they were afraid of. As the climate changed, lakes dried up, resulting in Nile as their only source of survival and living. But Nile was not only the source of survival, rather it is the major source of ancient Egypt civilization. Around Nile, agriculture started, and first farming can be dated back to 5000 BCE. This agriculture trade resulted in more settlements of people from neighboring areas. In north near Fayum, settlements started, while in the south, people started residing near Canaan. Here's the thing, that northern part of Egypt was regarded as Lower Egypt, while the southern part was Upper Egypt. At this time of 5000 BCE, some traces of pottery are present. Now let's enter into the most important and fascinating part of Egyptians' life, the afterlife. To Egyptians, death was not the end, rather a new start of another life. That's why they followed a special process to bury the deceased, with many of his belongings so that his soul can rest and have a profound afterlife. This time, about 3400 BCE, we found the traces of burial, but at this time there was not a specific process of mummification. Rather, the body was mummified under the dazzling hot sun of desert naturally. But there was a specific process of burial at a specific place, with belongings like pottery, food, jewelry, and makeup. Then 3250 BCE. There started the Egyptians' political system, that is bureaucracy, at Abydos, Upper Egypt, and the world's first writing system. Some traces are present as old as 3250 BCE that shows some payment of taxes. It is worth to note that world's first writing system was not to express emotions or feelings, rather to have record of taxes. Sounds crazy, right? Well, now we were with a writing system, agriculture, and political system. So the trade started to flourish between the Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt, resulted in emerging of a common language. And when the politics start, a race for the power starts. The same happened in the ancient Egypt. The normal parallel we have shows that in 3100 BCE, southern king Narman defeated northern king, and for the first time in history, Egypt united, forming the world's first nation state. The king Narman was protected by the cow goddess Hathor, and its parallel picture was repeated throughout the Egyptian history. There evolved the papyrus paper in Egypt from the papyrus plant, and Abydos in Upper Egypt was the first royal burial ground of Egypt. Now came the king Jer in about 3050 BCE and built one of the largest and the most complex tombs in First Dynasty. He made a burial chamber, and 597 individuals followed him through his afterlife, killed along with the death of King Jer. Then King Djoser came with not only the largest tomb but the first pyramid of Egypt, and largest building on earth at that time in 2650 BCE. The astonishing thing there is that Djoser tomb started tourism in Egypt at that time. There were ancient carvings of writing, but not the Egyptian writing, in which the individual visiting Djoser pyramid called it a heaven on earth, and Djoser as the inventor of stone. Well, that's the exciting thing, right? So, what do you think now? Which age of ancient Egypt has we stepped in? Yes, Pyramid Age. King Khufu built the Great Pyramids of Giza in 2570 BCE. It took about 20 years and 200,000 people to build the building, which remained the tallest building on earth for about 300,000 years. It is clear that Egyptians treated their kings as gods, or those chosen by gods to rule upon them. That's why, though they enjoyed the complete bounty, they were ready to build even the tallest complex tomb for their god kings, so that it will rest in afterlife. They also believed that souls of kings rule them and watch them, and nothing is permanent. So is the flourishing period of ancient Egypt, which had entered the dark age of famine, chaos, and civil wars. Funeral Causeway that was built by King Una in 2350 BCE has haunting arts and carvings of those suffered with famine. And then King Papi II, who ruled from 2200 BCE to 2100 BCE for 96 years, was not yet powerful enough in his 90s to complete the ceremonial running around the running track, which he had to perform at every jubilee of his reign. But he could not do that at that time. Now, Egyptian pharaohs were not the superhumans. They built great pyramids but were not able to face the natural disaster of famine. The Egyptians at that time lost belief in their religion, their gods, and god kings. As a result, fear, anxiety, suspicions, and also magic took place in Egyptian society. Magic with curses, burning of statues to destroy enemies, foreign parts, and disasters. As there was no single powerful king, different warlords started to rise, like Antipater, which was a small-time official, and his term in 2000 BCE has very little mentioned about king. His tomb is just a memorial how he helped poor, needy, hungry, and those who suffered from famine. As the warlords gained power, conflicts started, resulting in a civil war along with famine. Heracleopolis in the north with the red crown and Thebes in the south with the white crown were at war. And in zone between them there was also the sacred place for Egyptians, that is Abydos. And this was the Abydos royal burial zone. In 2070 BCE, northern troops destroyed the royal mummies, setting them on fire, cutting the Egyptians' contact with their past and their ancestors. It was a huge loss. Well, in this case, Thebans had the benefits like farmland of Canaan and their god of war called Merdu. There comes the name Mentuhotep II in 2050 BCE, one of the warlords who reunited the Egypt, who wore the white crown of south and red crown of north, the king of whole Egypt. The dark age of Egypt ended at that time, and the golden period of Middle Kingdom started. In Middle Kingdom of ancient Egypt, life of ordinary people flourished and improved. Trade grew, food increased, new techniques for education were introduced, and life was good again. When Mentuhotep II first built the tomb and Hathor at the place where the desert and cliffs meet. In the next video, we will talk about what happened later in the New Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, and Age of Invaders. Till then, if you want to know about the festivals of Egyptian culture, here we have a link to the culturesprost.blogspot.com. Link is in the description below. Stay tuned for the next video.